Hello friends, welcome to my channel ELS English Literature Studies with Kaur Harpreet. Today I am here with one more video on Francis Bacon. In my earlier video on Francis Bacon, I have discussed him in detail about his married life, about his earlier life, about his college and about his education, parents. All these are discussed in previous video. Link will be given in the description box. You can also check that video. Today I will discuss him as an essayist. So let us start with today's video. Francis Bacon, whose time period is 1561 to 1626, he is an English Renaissance statesman and also known as a great philosopher. He is also known as the father of the English essays, father of empiricism. He is one of the pioneers of modern philosophy and modern science, and he produced a large body of scientific work. All these points are discussed one by one in detail in my video in which I have discussed about Bacon in detail. So please check that video. And his three goals are also discussed in detail in my previous video. Bacon stated that he had three goals in his life, and his goals are to uncover truth, to serve his country, to serve his church. And he knew very well that if he wanted to achieve his three goals, he had to enter into politics. And he entered into politics and he achieved the same designation as his father, and he tried his best to cover these goals, but he was later on he had charges of corruption, so he was out of politics. So today I will discuss him only as an essayist, the father of the English essays. In his essays, he presents himself as a moralist, as a statesman and a man of the world. He was humane and by no means without ideals. Behind all his worldly ambitions and cruel policies lay an ideal enthusiasm for knowledge. He was acutely sensitive to both religious and moral motives. As we read, we naturally compare Bacon to one of those old Romans whom he himself describes as walking at certain hours in the forum and giving advice to those that they would use their advice. These essays are specimens of wisdom which arises out of an universal insight into the affairs of the world, and they are the fruits of the observation of the life. His essays, we can say, his essays are the finest expression of the practical wisdom that he had acquired from his life study or from his own experiences about the men of the world. He is often credited as the first great English essayist, but the word essay was borrowed from other writers such as French essayist Montaigne, who published his first book of essays in 1580, and also from we can say the Greek philosopher Aristotle, right? Bacon published his book of 10 essays in 1597, and the subjects of his essays were of studies, of discourse, of ceremonies, of and respects, and all these were subjects of his essays. And the essays of Bacon are in a class apart from all other essayists like Charles Lamb, Addison, and Steele. His essays, he calls his essays himself pithy jottings, and his essays, we can say, they were published in 3 successive editions, and they were first published in small volume in 1597. He described his essays as dispersed meditations or as brief notes set down rather significantly than curiously. Many of his essays we see resemble notebook jottings, right? Through his essays, one can get a good idea about his or own observation and quickly note it down. We can say his essays are pithy jottings, rather apt than curious, and this description given by him fits exactly into his earlier essays like of studies. In this essay, the sentences are short and crisp, and each sentence stands by itself. Each sentence briefly expresses thought. So this is his style of writing, that he write in this way as brief notes, and one can easily take idea from those notes and note it down. And that is why they are called as notebook jottings, right? And if we talk about his Style of writing, his style is generally aphoristic, direct and brief. Here the word aphoristic means a compact, condensed and epigrammatic style of writing, or we can say an aphorism is a proverb or short sentence with quality. And we can note down many such examples in his works. He excels in this kind of writing, and his style is aphoristic, direct and brief, all of which emphasize the practicality of his writing. At last, we can say his essays are the finest expression of the practical wisdom. His essays reflects his experience of men of the world, and this they reveal a habit of thought and action which is naturally generated under the despotic rule. His essays constitute a handbook of practical wisdom, and they Bacon, the father of English essays and also known as father of empiricism. He is a central figure in the entire history of English literature in general, and in prose of the Jacobean period in particular. His essays are the expression of a lifetime of experience in the world of men, and his essays present valuable advice to the reader in brief. So let us start with today's video. Sir Francis Bacon, time period is 1561 to 1626. Father of the modern essay, father of empiricism, and in both he relied on empirical thinking. Whether he is father of modern essay or father of empiricism, he relied on empirical thinking in order to understand social interactions, right? He borrowed the word essays from other writers already discussed in my previous video in detail, and his essays are different from other essayists who are mainly concerned with individual opinions. But if we talk about Bacon, he is concerned with the reader whom he is addressing. Actually, he wrote for the young man who want complete self-realization, and he writes about friendship, ambition, riches, studies, etc. And he followed his first volume with the book of 38 essays in 1612, and later on a volume of 58 essays in 1625. Bacon's essays. The essays of Bacon are divisible into two parts, the earlier essays and the later essays. Let us start with earlier essays. His first written essays or earlier essays, these are hardly more than a collection of brilliant aphorisms. He speaks of these essays as dispersed meditations. He ranks these earlier essays as recreation in comparison with his some more serious studies. In his earlier essays, the sentences are short and twist, and there are few connectives also. Each sentence in these essays stand by itself as a concentrated expression of weighty thoughts, and these essays are nothing but an attempt at this subject. The connections in these essays are not worked out and expressed, but are implicit and can be supplied by the intelligence of an alert reader. And these essays are remarkable for condensation of thought, almost every phrase being capable of expansion into paragraph, at least into it can be expanded into a paragraph. Later essays. When we talk about his later essays, these fall into the category which are written in 1625. There is a distinct contrast is shown in these essays with the earlier essays, and Bacon has used connectives and conjunctions. He imparts warmth and color to his style. These essays are rich products of his genius. Metaphors and similes are frequent in these essays, and sometimes they have a poetic quality also. For example, when he says suspicions among thoughts are like bats among birds, they fly best at twilight. Right? His essays have a poetical quality, and many of them has been used as quotation. These are the finest expression of the we can say practical wisdom. Also, they constitute a handbook of practical wisdom, we can say. In general, his essays In his essays, the subject is always important. In Bacon's essay, we can say his essays exhibit the insight of the man into the practical affairs of the world. Their practical wisdom is unquestioned, and the universality is also marked. In his essays, we miss the lightness and ease and the friendly behavior of the great essayists like Charles Lamb. Bacon is too stately and too majestic to have any confidential intercourse with his readers, and these things are missing. These things does not exist in Bacon's essay as we find in abundance in Charles Lamb's essays. And Bacon talks from a height. He gives counsel to those who are below. His thought is too profound to permit us to speak of his essays, and but in his essays the subject is always important and very elegant, right? And when we talk about his essays, these essays can be categorized again into three parts: moral and religious class, political class, and domestic class. And these essays are characterized, or we can say these are divided according to the nature of the subject dealt in them. Actually, what is an essayist? Essayist should be spendthrift. He should scatter his thoughts, and he should diffuse his feelings with the readers in his essays. But when we talk about Bacon, his essays in this respect are faulty. He keeps a hold over his feelings, and he does not at all scatter his thoughts like a spendthrift. And according to the nature or theme or subject, these essays are divided into three parts. First of all, we'll talk about moral essays by Bacon. His moral essays are loaded with moral appeal. He counsels his readers in every aspect of life, whether it is about upbringing of child, business deal, etc. And these essays, moral essays, help a lot in good and greatness. These are some of his moral essays: of riches, of ambition, of friendship, of truth, of revenge, of suspicion, and of expense. Right. Next is his domestic style or domestic essays. In Bacon's domestic essays, we find the same coldness and lack of warmth which we notice in his moral essays. We are quite familiar with the extraordinary coldness regarding the expression of thought in these essays, and these are some of his domestic essays, like of parents and children, of marriage and single life, of love, and of friends. And when we talk about his political essays, we can say these are best of all. He felt himself more at home in the characters of a statesman, in the character of politician, than in that of a moralist, right? So these essays, we can say these are the best collection of Francis Bacon. Essays are highly admirable. These essays, because they speaks of the principles, they show the manners of life. And the worst mistake of England is talk about the if we talk about his political essays, there is a very famous is of Plantations, which speaks of the principles whose soundness has been gradually established by the experience of generations and centuries. And his political essays shows the manners of life. And the essay of Great Place also shows the manners of great and the high in public life, right? When we talk about his essays in general, his essays are highly admirable because they abound in lofty sentiments and noble thoughts. He could write eloquently at the beauty of truth and justice. His essays are admirable for their practical wisdom, for the universality of appeal, their sane advice, and their learning. But they remain introduce Bacon as the most influential and resourceful writer of his age or of his time. He used different types of literary devices like paradox, aphorism. Aphorism is already discussed in my previous video in detail. You can check that video. And then in his essay, there is touch of reality and practicality in his writings, and his prose style is remarkable. Because of this prose style, Francis Bacon is famous worldwide, not only because of his philosophy but because of his prose style. and today we will discuss about certain qualities that are present in almost in his every essay. So before starting, let us revise what is a prose and what is a style. Prose is a form of language that has no formal metrical structure. It means prose is a natural flow of speech. And when we talk about style we can say it is a manner in which writer presents his theme. He discusses his ideas and themes with his readers. That is known as his style. And each and every person has his own different style. And what are the qualities of Francis Bacon's prose style? That is why today's topic. Now come to the main point. Bacon is generally known as the father of English prose. His prose style is famous as he not only laid the foundations for English essays, but he also created a proper writing style. Many writers have already contributed in this prose writing. They have tried their best to keep prose up to date, but it had some drawbacks. And for instance, we can say in former writers' prose style, the sentences were too long, essays were too tough to understand. If we talk about great writers like Raleigh and Hooker, they were writing prose, but their style of writing was difficult to understand. Right? It was not for the layman. If one have to be studious to understand their style of writing. Apart from them, some skilled writers had also shortcomings in their writing styles. But if we talk about Francis Bacon, it was the greatness of Bacon as a stylist that he set up a model of writing prose. We can say particularly about essays, right? The prose style of Francis Bacon, it is not wrong to say that he has introduced a new style of prose writing. He reformed the English prose style by reducing its shortcomings. And some stylistic qualities of Bacon's essays are like this. Firstly, I would like to discuss about his style, that is short and concise sentences. He used short and concise sentences. It is one of his major quality in his prose writing. He keeps his subject focused, clear and concise, and his purpose is to convey the message in lesser words and without yes, this is very important that he wanted to convey a message in using lesser words, but without losing its original meaning. That is very important, that he does not we can say concentrate only on lesser words because he wanted to be famous rather than other great writers, but it should have some meaning. It should not lose its original meaning. Hardly any other prose writer of his age has this kind of ability, right? Second stylistic quality is no parenthesis. This quality of Bacon attracts his readers towards him. He almost removed parentheses. Actually, he does not need parentheses at all because every word is self-explanatory in his essays. Each sentence has capability to explain itself. That is why he is famous for his terseness and conciseness, because he has a best quality to we can say explain his ideas, but in lesser words, and every word is self-explanatory. Each sentence has capability to explain itself, and this style has attraction and it appealed to the readers due to clarity. Third style we can say about clarity in his prose style. He gives examples from everyday life experience. Even a layman can understand his philosophy because it is very clear and very to the point. One does not have to be studious again to understand, because these, we can say, his essays are filled with clarity. He uses simple words, we can say in easy language. He uses simple words to explain his ideas, but again with clear meaning. That is the important part, that his ideas are clear, right? Next is rhythm and coherence. Bacon knows very well that lack of coherence in sentences means lack of interest of readers. He divides subtopics in paragraphs. Even critics also appreciate coherence in his essays. Next is aphoristic style. Aphoristic style is already discussed in previous video, but I will discuss it again because this is one of the main qualities of Bacon's prose style. Aphorism is a short, clever saying. What is the meaning of aphorism? It is a short, clever saying that is intended to express a general truth. And many of his sentences have an aphoristic quality. They are like proverbs which has a quotable quality, or which can readily be quoted when the occasion demands, right? These are the proverbs which are used most of time, we use in our day-to-day life, in our daily experiences, and his philosophy is based on facts and truths. That is why his proverbs are quotable. That is why he use aphoristic style. His ideas are not from utopian world, his ideas are based on reality, and this style was accepted in his time because of its reasoning power. And these are some sentences which are famous or known because in these words tell us about experiences of life, and these are the opening lines of some essays, and these very clearly tell what this essay is going to be tell about and creates interest in us. Next is themes. As far as themes of his essays are concerned, his themes revolve around perennial interest, right? Perennial interest means his themes are related to such topics which are useful for every age, for all religions. These are not for one particular age, not for one particular religion, not one for particular strata of society. His themes are perennial, are of perennial interest, right? For example, he talks about religion, friendship, government, state, science, worldly wisdom, ethical qualities, right? These are the themes to which he is about which he talk about in his essays. Next is impersonal. He presents his argument without involving himself. He is never subjective and personal in his essays. He presented his writing through aphoristic style. For example, in his essay of studies, it does not give his personal opinion. He leaves readers for their understanding. He leaves his work for their readers. Means if we start his essay starts with such a statement that we want to read it, what he wants to say, right? So his touch is very impersonal. He detached his personality from his essays by using examples which does not at all require his personal opinion. Bacon used various styles rather than depending on one style, we can say. As a man of Renaissance, his works represent characteristics of his age also. For instance, the use of figurative language. Along with this, we also find similes and metaphors mainly drawn from natural and scientific aspects. Talking about weaknesses in prose style, Bacon's style, we can say his style was suitable for all occasions, for all strata of society. His style, we can also say his style is extremely simple, easy and graceful. But his style has its own defects, demerits, weaknesses, whatever you can say. But the balance is always in the favor of merits. Like Jacobean authors, Bacon's essays are also interloaded with scraps of Latins. We can say he was guilty of this practice. He had a great fondness for Latin language. It was quite natural for him to play with Latin words, and it was natural for him to insert Latin quotations here and there in his writings. Sometimes his grammatical structures are loose. He uses excessive Latin phrases, etc., which sometimes create difficulty for the reader to understand it. But always, balance is always in the favor of his merits, right? In conclusion, I would like to conclude that he is commonly known as father of English prose and essays because of his style, and we can also say that there is no match for him. When we consider his works with reference to his age and the authors who wrote English prose, and we can have nothing but admiration for his style. He set up a new world of prose writing which was at once simple, easy, graceful, rhetorical, musical and condensed at that time. He remains unrivaled in the combination of picaresque with wit. He is unrivaled in this matter. We are charmed by the play of fancy, and he tells us about the experiences of lifetime, and through his essays he talks about, I have already discussed, religion and government, state, all these are perennial interests, and his maxims have become household words, and his greatness lies in giving a universal appeal to his writings of all the essayists of his time. That is why we can say there is no match for him, and English literature is in debt to him for making large reformation in English prose. So friends, this is all about my today's topic about